Camron Chrissy was caught on camera in a hotel wearing a sweater and heels, while Jim Jones was not only tricked, but also featured on television. He was sitting like a king in court 1 minute. Don't bother Jim. He's still in the room with someone else. Ever witness a man's heart depart from his body? The courtroom remained silent during his interment, and Jim didn't blink or breathe. Instead, he just gazed at the TV as if it were it. Camron smiled as if he had been waiting for 10 years. Mama Jones was captivated by this. It was a hit, not an accident. Chrissy realized the camera was filming after a passionate performance. So we now wonder how many more recordings Cam has, if this was a long-term love affair or swindle, and how to move on when everything fell apart. If you saw your life fall apart in 4K, then you should buckle up because Jim Jones isn't coming back. It began with a USB and concluded with Jim Jones slouched in a courtroom chair, his soul trembling and his hands shivering. The video appeared to have been shot with the intention of appearing in court at 9:13 p.m., but it wasn't hazy, so maybe it was her chance. In addition, it was time-stamped and clear. I'm pulling a sweater over her head outside the Marine Hotel in Soho, while the city watches her breathe side to side. Jim wasn't in the suite, but the man who answered the Reggie was, a few months ago. When he was connected to a hush jail and said he was just a friend, fans began chatting about the name Chrissy. However, this film wasn't about that. The mood changed when Camron Jim straightened up and handed the USB to the court clerk. The room became colder, and he felt as if friendship had been totally betrayed in high definition. Though seeing and knowing are two different things, he already knew something deep within. Chrissy walked into the hotel room, turned to the corridor and muttered, "Jim," into her phone. Jim sat like his bones as the courtroom chuckled and Cam leaned back in his chair as if he had been waiting for karma to pay the check for 10 years. He continues to think, "I'm with my family." In the courtroom, Chrissy remained motionless while he disintegrated without uttering a word or blowing up, until at last he gasped and collapsed, one hand on his breast and one arm hanging from the chair. Cam just watched the first 37 seconds of the film, and even though she had seen the situation 100 times before, she did not flinch, blink, or move, because what happened next was when a chamber, with 2 glasses of wine and a playlist playing, slowly on the speaker was shown in the movie as the ride or die scenario and lies that were made for reality TV came to an end. Chrissy continues, "This is where I breathe. I don't feel anything with you. I feel like I'm suffocating in someone else's life," with a dark, seductive laugh. According to insiders, Jim named Chrissy his on 3 different shows only last year, so the statement really hurt. Chrissy is now telling him that she felt dead inside of him on the first day of oxygen. Although Chrissy didn't think Camron would wind up with the tape, they knew that the apartment belonged to Reggie's friend, who often takes things for protection. They have yet to establish how they acquired it. In any case, it wasn't Cam who had the one piece of proof that no one believed to exist. Others claim that after Chrissy left him last month, Reggie lost it, while others say it was Cam. Cam filed the USB as part of a defamation counterclaim action against Jim, claiming that Jim was the focus of the scandal. According to court filings, tried to harm his reputation at a 2022 VH1 production meeting. But Cam didn't simply deliver it cold. He did so right in the middle of a quarrel or conflict that wasn't about the court, but rather about revenge. It's true that Mama Jones was in court when Jim fell, and she sprang up so quickly that security believed she was going to assault Chrissy. "You misled Chrissy, my son." Before being brought away, she sobbed, and TMZ saw her pacing the pavement and shouting into her phone. "I never trusted her for this reason. I immediately forewarned Jim that she would damage him in the interim." As EMTs evaluated Jim's vitals and concluded that he had collapsed due to trauma rather than a cardiac event, the judge was forced to adjourn the trial for a full hour indoors. The Chrissy Hotel film. in which Camron revealed the name Jones Fall was trending on cruel memes with Jim's face on a mattress with the words Joseph Jones within 20 minutes of the announcement. Chrissy left in Camron, smiling like Thanos and holding on to the final forever. But this was more than just a Twitter dispute. My brother was folded like a sheet. The court reconvened, and the entire 4-minute tape was shown after the DIA halted the trial and called the judge aside. The court was already investigating Chrissy for a closed charity fraud case, and she mentions in the hotel movie that Reggie helped me. The clip allegedly showed plausible evidence of adultery. I said, "Clean up that mess. That was a contribution." Translation: more charges might be brought. And what? When the court paused the federal lawsuit, Cam looked straight at Jim and said, "I told you that." What began as a reality TV heartbreak has now turned into a real possibility. I simply gave you what you needed to get better. She wasn't faithful. As if the world had ceased to move and react, Jim simply looked straight ahead. A witness in the courtroom, who was sat 3 rows behind her, claimed that Chrissy walked up to her attorney and muttered, "Tell the judge I was drunk." That movie is out of context. It was a 4K multi-angle video with audio. But we're only getting started because Cam's legal team said they will play 2 more videos and a horrible voicemail that Chrissy left for Mama Scott when the court meets again next week. The entire VH1 franchise would burn to the ground if even half of what was stated on that call is accurate, and nobody would be prepared for what would happen next because, just as everyone was gathering their thoughts after watching the hotel footage, Cameron's attorney, you can hear the audience complaining as it spread like a tsunami of suspicion, turning Chrissy pale. He got up and shouted 7 words that interrupted the judge mid-sentence. "We have further footage." In order to prevent Mama Jones from going back to the courtroom, the clerk played the message that Ms. Judge leaned forward and asked Cam's lawyer to explain. But Jim did not even glance up. Within 10 seconds, Christy's voice was crystal clear. Mona. 3 weeks prior, Lampkin had left on Mama Scott Young's phone to capture the infidelity scandal that would become the franchise's conclusion. "Cammy, we'll use it, and I need you to make sure that he doesn't find out if Jim finds out that the entire season has been spoiled." Chrissy's lawyer said the court stopped the recording because it was a smoking gun inside a nuclear power plant. Reggie said the room. Video had been wiped, handled the tape, instructed Mona to put it away, and proclaimed the season ended, out in a furious protest, but it was too late. Kay had heard enough and had stopped smiling. He was hooked, because the conversation revealed that Chrissy had cheated, and that, expecting to be caught, she attempted to have it taken off with high-level support, suggesting a cover-up that implied manipulation, and possibly interfering with an ongoing investigation. Now even the nanny seemed shaken, and Jim, at last, raised his head and gazed blankly at Chrissy, as if he had forgotten about her. He then gave in to the woman he had purchased rings for Saga. The second scene, taken inside a trailer on the set of Love and Hip Hop New York rather than from the hotel, began when red carpets clashed and producers offered little defense. An unnamed crew member first leaked the video months ago, showing Chrissy conversing with Yan Dandy behind the scenes during what should have been a peaceful day. Chrissy casually replied, "I am not. I know Jim is faithful, but devotion does not cure boredom." But there was nothing to see. I get a sense of purpose from Reggie. Moreover, Mona is, "You're playing with fire, guy. You're caught knowing that Cam hates Yandi." This isn't simply a disagreement. It's a conflict. And the video had a big impact because viewers were seeing more than just adultery. They were seeing the entire Chrissy and Jim relationship, which was a deliberate brand rather than a sincere friendship. Additionally, it exposed Mona since the producers continued to construct and promote the engagement special, even though they were aware of this months earlier. Chrissy's name was trending alongside liability sit-up Queen and Judas in Love Towns, and Mama Jones eventually made it past security and rushed into the spotlight. By this point, they had fabricated everything except for the eternal love angle, and social media was in full swing. That woman, who is a snake and I want VH1 to burn, ruined my son's life by waiting and screaming in the hallway outside the tennis court. Despite her security guard's attempts to stop her, the one TikTok user even edited the hotel video to include Mama Jones's diet group and captioned it, "When your mom was right the entire time." When the lawyer reappeared in court with a written email, a screenshot, and a paper trail. After hearing the audio on the second tape, the situation got even more dire. The damage was done, as the video became viral in a couple of minutes. This is an email from Chrissy's account asking for the removal of footage from a private server, the judge informed them. Related to Mom Scott's, I received an email, the judge said, and the room fell silent again. Chrissy reportedly scrawled, "If that comes out," as her hands started to shake, "Jim and the program won't improve." Reggie should be told to keep quiet because this was more than simply cheating, it was manipulating. A terrified Jim from the media showed in and asked Chrissy only one question. "Is this real?" Chrissy's lips twitched, but she just looked down, stating that silence was more powerful than words. Perhaps because if she had said yes, something might have remained. But when she didn't say anything, Camron didn't back down because he had already warned that this wasn't just retaliation. The judge's decision to halt the surgical deconstruction hooray procedures again wasn't a result of chaos, but rather of VH1's legal team's sudden desire to address the court. And the network was now involved in its The Representative. A man in a gray suit, pouring through his collar, added, "We think that part of this material was obtained unlawfully and that its release might violate an existing contract. Secret conditions." Translation: Cam's revelation of producer dishonesty, the blowout of their golden couple, and the revelation that did you attempt to interfere with this court's inquiry by suppression or misdirection of the media, the judge said, looking directly at Chrissy, even if the whole love tale was a ticking time bomb. "I didn't mean for it to," Chrissy stammered, her voice shaking as her lawyer objected, and the court went on. "Go this far, I was just afraid of losing Jim, of being exposed, of witnessing the deception come to light too late, because the court had one more surprise in store, the revelation of Reggie's text log and Cam's. She played me too," Reggie wrote to a friend after Team Supreme built a burner phone. "Get away from him quickly. Cam was dropped, and I'm the bad guy. I should have disposed of the other tapes." She begged me to refrain, stating that there were more. When all was said and done, Jim walked out of the courthouse looking like a ghost, without Chrissy by his side, without Mona, without any protection, just him and the weight of a love that was never betrayed, and that the entire world saw unfold. When a reporter later asked Cam if he believed Jim deserved this, Cam looked directly into the camera and said, "No, but the truth doesn't always break people. Since there is only one person remaining in this game of love, dedication, and cameras," he then departed, unbeaten in the courtroom, and the worst is yet to come. The film had already affected every American viewing by the following morning. The slowed down, modified, and merged parts were mixed, with Jim Jones's frozen look of betrayal has come to symbolize not only pain but shame. And despite the fact that supporters were split on the internet, it was clear that no one was still accepting the misunderstanding point of view. This was a whole organization, not a negative rumor. They also played sad music and converted into tools faster than Chrissy could comprehend. Revealed interviews and tweets from previous seasons, taking a new look at the romance and recognizing the warning flags in the leaked HD1 recording where Mama Jones said, "Chrissy, you love cameras more than you love my son." Even if the message was now printed on t-shirts, the court wasn't done since the legal nightmare was louder than the emotional grief. Private email from VH1 was suddenly subpoenaed, following an emergency request from Camron's legal team. For what reason? Chrissy sneaked off with us to work on post-production. And guess who cleared the video cuts for Chrissy and Jim's spin-off? Because Reggie the man. Yes, Reggie. It opened the door for a major fraud investigation. To protect a brand. That is not only sleazy. Producers changed the narrative, hid actual conflict, and changed the image. It is civil fraud when it comes to contracts that are deceptive or raise money. When Mona Scott Young unfollowed Chrissy mid-herring, it temporarily disrupted the production's portrayal of the actors and sponsors, who began to withdraw. Mona abandoning. The script is a terrible sign, but here's Jim Jones's lawyer requested to sue Chrissy for financial sabotage and mental agony when things became out of control. Both on and off television, Jim Jones did this. Everything was now officially against her, and the record was long, including canceled appearances, lost brand ties, and Jim's most damningly unreleased footage. According to reports, it cost $23 million to film a movie for a Netflix documentary series that would never air because to the problem. This amount does not account for the events that followed because of the sudden Chrissy had a backup plan, according to an exclusive with a gossip website, and her own ex, Marcus, who was purportedly someone from her past, appeared. Jim was always the target, not the notoriety. He even made SMS and voicemails available to the public. Jim's career is cute, but I'm trying to build mine, Chrissy allegedly said. Chrissy's remarks sent internet combustion bloggers in a frenzy. Kay was just getting warmed up when Camron released his own documentary teaser, 132 video on the architect's rise in popularity, while the court was considering motions and sealing evidence. Instagram photo with the caption, "You saw the courtroom. Now." Chrissy's voice is heard whispering on the blank screen during the teaser. "If this gets out, Jim's leaving me, don't tell Cam." "I found out that the video had gotten over 5 million views in just 4 hours, Camron said, with a sudden cut to his face. "You shattered me, Chrissy," Jim said, disregarding his mother, Mama Jones, who that night paced her living room during a live broadcast while fighting back tears and anger. "You broke my son," Jim said. "You were family, and I called you my daughter. Now see what you did. You let the devil in, and he stole a pink cloak that wasn't just shadow, and Chrissy fell. Because stillness only works when the world is calm. Sometimes the only response they deserve is silence." One Instagram story with a black backdrop and white lettering, with no apology or comment. When the court reconvened on day 4, the judge was no longer in mediation mode and was furious because fresh evidence had emerged, this time from former cast member Olivia Longa, who in a signed declaration stated that she had witnessed Chrissy and Reggie in the hotel lobby in 2022. Holding hands and fighting over, Chrissy informed her, "I'm just doing what Mona won't do because Jims are too blind to see that I'm not built for it." That was a planned action, not merely betrayal. Unfortunately, that's where things got weird. VH1 tried to stop the video from being aired again by sending bloggers cease and desist letters, attempting to have YouTube breakdowns taken down, and even filing temporary prohibitions on the Camron Tease documentary. But the internet remembers, and Cam wasn't worried. He thought, let them try the truth, and went out smiling and drinking a beer. Is Mine, no longer their story, and has already been published. Jim, however, quit attending court because he was unable to handle it, not because he didn't care. According to a brief statement released by his team, Mr. Jones has requested seclusion. At this time, due to concerns regarding his mental health, Jim shifted from being a fiancé to defendant 2, and Chrissy became a rapper, as the victim and the offender switched positions. This dispute ruined a brand, not just a relationship, and that much is certain. Due to the cancellation of the comedy, Lebo tensions are growing, and the fans are demanding accountability, disclosed a franchise, and illustrated the true consequences of transforming love from a bond to a commodity. According to one fan, hip-hop and its greatest love were never sincere. But this pain, more realistic than anything the show has ever depicted, is this quiet aftermath. You know, they're correct. because as the smoke clears, then the editing ends. But the actual harm is the kind that persists until the following episode, doesn't go to commercial, and continues to play whenever someone searches for it. Do we wonder if watching the Chrissy's Hotel YouTube video was worth it? His response plays over and quietly, and the weight of tragedy destroys the Jim's career. Chrissy, it is already in the film even though they tried their hardest to alter the plot or the cover. No one is avoiding their gaze, and everyone saw it. Thus, after the mask is taken off when the truth is that cameras are not being used, completely revealed the following step. Is Jim Jones going to abandon all? The Chrissy remains quiet as she mulls over becoming famous. Those moments would ease the pain of apologies, Camron. Is this merely a betrayal? A single penalty, or does we should store extra in the safe? But what if there was only one tape? One additional thing is concealed among those files. Confirms that there wasn't a romantic relationship. It was an instance of hip-hop. Total destruction of a reality program. The tension causing the empire to collapse, invoice information, and a USB drive that was more damaging than 1,000 fists couldn't accomplish this. Thus, you had to. Please use the comments area to express your opinions. Do you trust anyone, and who do you blame? Above all, who will follow? Because if this is what the saga has taught us, if anything, when the truth is out, no one is safe. If it begins to leak, take care to push that. You were intrigued by this like button to guarantee you don't miss the next. It's about to turn on, I promise. Warnings, since the drama is genuine.